After hearing about Team Taiwan's historic gold medal baseball win at the Premier 12 on November 24th, I reached out to Richard Wang, who I previously interviewed in 2020, about how Taiwan was the only place on the planet where professional baseball was being played during the COVID pandemic. And since the entire world was watching, it led to English broadcasts of Taiwan's baseball games. Well, it turns out that Richard was at the Tokyo Dome for the Premier 12 and even had the honor of calling out all the names of Team Taiwan's players as they were awarded their gold medals. In the spirit of Giving Tuesday, which was on December 3rd, I thought it would be fun to celebrate Team Taiwan's win by inviting others to be in the audience during my online interview with Richard. So I put the word out on social media, and here's a recording of that online event.
The crowd begins to build for a full count offering. On the way to Koreara. And a liner at first. That'll do it. Baseball immortality for Taiwan. Chinese Taipei has won its first ever Premier 12 World Championship.
So that was the final out at the Team Taiwan's historic gold win at the Premier 12 that happened on November 24th. And I'm here today with Richard Wang, the WBSC Asia correspondent, who had the honor of announcing all of the names of the winning team of Team Taiwan. And I wanted to share a special clip also of that moment.
優勝しましたチャイニーズ台北代表チームにはゴールドメダルが贈られます。プレゼンターは WBSC 世界野球ソフトボール連盟リカルド・ブラッカーリ会長 WBSC ジェフリーク・ジュニア副会長です。
曾豪居、王建民、张建民、陈江河、高志刚、高国辉、林岳平、彭正敏、吉利吉拉广冠、张正宇、江国豪、邱志成、陈焕宇、林凯威、张毅、陈柏清、吴俊伟、陈杰宪、陈晨威、戴培峰、江坤宇、朱玉贤、林立、林安可、郭俊麟、庄心燕、黄子鹏、王志轩、岳东华、林玉明、黄恩赐、潘杰凯、曾颂恩、林家正、李凯威、
That was the moment that Richard was announcing all the winners. And so, Richard, if you could unmute yourself, I thought we could start the interview right now. So what was that moment like for you to be there in the Tokyo Dome, having the honor of announcing all the names of the players?
Well, the honor was actually great, but the request actually came very late. Actually, it was at the bottom of the eighth, because during the entire tournament, the Tokyo Dome has their own PA team, the ones that do the sports presentation. So they have a Japanese guy who speaks English very well, but he was pronouncing everybody's name in the English way. So there's a tone there. Like, for example, the leader hitter, Chen Wei, will be pronounced as Chen Wei Chen, something like that. And also, he had problem pronounce one of the catcher's name as Gong Guan, because that's an indigenous name. And even some Taiwanese people have problem pronouncing that correctly, let alone the Japanese PA had great difficulty pronouncing his name. So, but it was during the game, so they would just go along with the starting lineup and everything. But for the award ceremony, it was actually the NPB, the Nippon Professional Baseball, the Japanese Professional Baseball League, because we know each other for like 20 years. And they are the LOC, the local organizing committee of this Premier 12 Super Round in Japan, in Tokyo. So they came to us, to my boss, asking if I can be the one who's doing the name calling during the award ceremony, because whether it's going to be a gold medal or silver medal, both teams, Team Japan and also Chinese Taipei, Team Taiwan, will be announced one by one with all the coaches and all the players. So they want somebody who can speak Mandarin as a native language. And of course, I'm the first one they came up with it, because I was just right there and we know each other for so long. So they were asking me if I can do the name calling, and then after like half inning, because we need to coordinate, because let me explain a little bit about my work there, because I am with the WBSC. So
yeah, please.
a lot of people thought that I might be with Chinese Taipei team, which is not this time. I was with the national team in the past during the WBC, or the WBC, and also other like international tournaments. But this time I'm with WBSC as an international hosting organization of the Premier 12. So I am in the media department. We have the interviews to do. We have the social medias to run, everything. So it took a little bit while for me to get clear of all other things, and then I get an okay from WBSC, also from the sports presentation team, for them to okay that there will be another one joining the stand calling the names. So the request came at the bottom of the eighth, and then it was clear on the top of the ninth. So then I quickly got a list, because the first list I got was just by the number, by their uniform order. But at the end, it wasn't by that order, the way they, get up to the stand. So I got another one. And I need to, of course, all the names are familiar names, but I need to practice a little bit. But, that's, close to the end of the game, everybody was ready for everything, for the ceremony and everything. So it was like chaotic, in the backstage. So I ended up going to the men's room, and I locked myself in one of the rooms, and I started to pronounce the name one by one. I want to make sure that the pronunciation, of course, will be correct, but I just want to make sure that it will go out nicely. So I ended up practicing in the bathroom for maybe like 5 minutes or something like that. After I was done and the game was almost over there. So basically, because we are all in the backstage, I did not get the luxury to watch the final 2 outs. So I didn't watch that double play, unlike most of the fans and most of the audience. But once the game is over and the back door open, we just flood into the field and to start to prepare everything. Because after the game is over, at that time my duty was to control the media people, for them to not to run out. And we need to set up a barrier, a big zone for them. So I was busy with them while I had a glimpse of the team celebrating on the field, and it was great. And after that, so the silver medalist got announced first, and then our team goes on to the podium. And I was actually a little bit shaky when I pronounced the first 2 names, which is the name of the manager and also Wang, the bullpen coach. it was definitely an honor, a great honor, and I never imagined that I could see my team, winning the gold in kind of we call them the big three tournaments: the WBC, the Olympics, and also the Premier 12.
Right.
It's definitely a very emotional environment at that time, and calling the names because I need to follow the on-site director, the field director, for his cue because the ceremony, all the announcements started with English, then Japanese, and then the director will give me a cue saying that I can start to read the names. So by the time I was able to read the names of the manager, he's been given the medal already. So I kind of pick up the speed a little bit, and then I follow the speed of the president for Korea and also Jeffrey Coos as they present the medals. I just want to make sure that I don't go too quick and I don't drag. So, and it was very exciting that, for the first two names, I was shaky, really, because it was in front of 41,000 people there. I never had experience.
Yeah, I think that your voice sounds great and it was very powerful. And I was wondering, did you have to do any kind of like voice training to do that, to have this like powerful announcer's voice?
I I did well. I didn't go to any classes for the trainings, but I did practice that in the past. I do have some experiences calling the names. For example, I started my international tournament, if you so call that career, from 2000 as a PA lead. So I was able to pronounce the names as I was introducing the starting lineup and everybody who comes up to the bat, now batting number 23, blah, 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 things like that. So I've been doing that for like 20 some years. So I have a little bit experience on that. But to call the name like that in front of 41,000 people, well, that's definitely a first. And as I was saying, that for the first two names, I was shaky. But after after I started and I got into a groove, and it was all okay. And the funny thing is that probably most of the people don't see is that after the presenting and all the name callings, the player were asked to go to behind the second base to do a group photo. After that, I kind of requested the team to go around the field to thank the fans because there are like at least 6,000 people flying from Taiwan to Tokyo to watch the game. A lot of people arrived that day and then they are leaving the next morning. So that was really amazing. So I told the team that why don't you? Well, I think you should go around the field, to thank the fans. So at that time, the funny thing is that the entire broadcasted part of the award ceremony was all over. So it was just the fans that left who were still there cheering for the team, and also all the media on the field. So I grabbed the microphone and I started to sort of like hosting a party kind of thing. So I went to the left field side and asked the audience on the left stand to shout and to cheer, and then we went to the center field on the left bleacher and the right bleacher, and then went to the first base side, and we run and run, and so kind of try to cheer the crowd. And from the name calling part, it was amazing that I just announced the name, and then the crowd will cheer. It's including the Japanese audience who are still there. They would cheer for Team Taiwan as I announced the name. So it's a very exciting moment because whatever I say, get a response from the crowd. Of course, we know that they are cheering for the players, and also when the team was running around the field, whatever I say, I was asking the fans to cheer and to shout, and they respond. So it was a very exciting moment at that time. On top of it, of course, it's a great honor to be able to call the names of this, the global champions, Team Taiwan. It was great.
That's such a great story. I think you did such a service to all the fans, like to, give them that moment.
Well, I think I was very lucky that ever since from 2020, we were able to call the game in English to broadcast to the world. And I do remember that at that time I took a lot of interviews saying that, well, I'm not the one who speaks English the best. I'm not the one who knows baseball the most. But I was lucky enough to be there at the right time. Just like this time I was there in the office, and then these guys, we've been friends for like 20 years, and they know me. They know that I did some PA work, so they came to me and said, "Hey, Richard, can you do the honor to call the names?" of course, it's a great honor, and I was right there. I was lucky, and I was lucky that I didn't screw the job. So,
No, I
so
think you did a
it
great
was
job.
great. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would just like to mention for our listeners who are not that familiar, the WBSC Premier One is a baseball championship that features the 12 highest ranking national teams in the world, and WBSC stands for World Baseball Softball Confederation. And the 12 teams are from Australia, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Japan, Mexico, Netherlands, Panama, Puerto Rico, South Korea, Taiwan, United States, and Venezuela. So I thought like we could also talk about like why is this win by Team Taiwan on November 24th so historical? I mean, obviously it was the first goal, but could you give people a context why it was so historical?
Well, definitely this, as I mentioned, that this is one of the three big tournament in the world right now for baseball. Olympics, obviously number one, and then WBC and also Premier 12. And during the last Premier 12, I think it was back in 2019, we were able to make it finish the fifth. We went to the super round. That was the first time we went to the super round. And also in the history of WBC, we only made it to the second round once. That was back in 2013 when we made it to Tokyo. There was a second round, and it's been difficult for us to, especially the adult team, to play very well on the highest level of the tournament in the past, I don't know, 20 years or 30 years, because the last time that we were able to make it to the final was back in 1992. It was very long ago. That was in the Olympic in Barcelona. We were the silver medalist. So that was what, 32 years ago? Yeah. So it's
Oh,
been
wow. Yeah.
a very long time ago. And for the past, ever since the start of the 2006 WBC, we weren't really able to play that well. And for the Premier 12, I think one of the features that we have this year is because that in the very beginning, after after the roster was announced by the Team Taiwan here, everybody is kind of like, oh, this is not a very good roster. We don't have the number one pitcher. We don't have the number one hitter that we really wanted. For example, it's Ming Chiang, who played so well during the WBC last year. We couldn't have him, and then we couldn't have the ace pitcher, which is from the Lions, who recently signed with the Japanese team. So now we look at the roster. This is not the best roster we can have at the moment. So most of the people kind of like, this is the underdog team, and we don't really give them a lot of credit. We don't really give them a lot of hopes on how well they can do, because most of the people think that they can't. There was no way for them to go to the first round and advance the super round. From the very beginning of when they announced the roster, we don't really think that it's a very competitive team. We don't have the best hitter that we want. We don't have the best ace pitcher we really want. So most of the people don't think they can go through the first round. Most of the people don't think we can go to the super round. But eventually, they did, and they were able to conquer so many obstacles. And I mean, I think the first game against Korea really did help the team, and also did help the fans to reestablish the confidence, because the funny thing is that for the past so many, maybe say a decade or two, that when we play against Korea and when we play against Japan, there are two different mindsets. We really got to defeat Korea, and it's okay for us to lose to Japan. It's been like that, and because Japan is so good, so strong, and for the baseball world here, we're so close to Japan from their trainings, from how the baseball culture has been inherited from the Japanese colonial time, and also for all those big name Japanese players who made their names in the Major League Baseball as well. So we look up to the Japanese baseball a lot, and so it's been like, now if we lose to them, it's kind of they're
acceptable.
they're acceptable. And then if we discuss like how we lost to them, all the elements would not be an excuse. It would be legitimate elements. So people would think that it's okay to lose to Japan because they're simply so good, but we really want to defeat Korea, no matter in professional baseball wise. Korea baseball is ahead of us. That's something we need to admit it, even we sometimes don't like to do so. But on the international games, we really, really want to defeat Korea. And the funny thing about the mindset is that for the Korean team, they really got to defeat Japan, but it's okay to lose to Taiwan. So it's a very because
You see
we're
the
all
hierarchy.
so it's we make friends with Korean baseball people. We make friends with Japanese baseball. We're all very close. So this is a very interesting mindset for for everybody there. And for Japan, they surely want to defeat Korea. But look at this time. I mean, after they lost to Taiwan in the Premier 12 final championships, they're like, it's good. I mean, for Taiwan to win something. And another mindset is that Japan's been winning so many titles recently.
Yeah, can you talk about their
And
track record? Because that's another amazing thing, right?
I mean they win the WBC, they win the Premier 12. I mean, of course, the first Premier 12 was won by Korea in 2015, but then later in 2019, Japan won it, and Japan has been the winning team of the WBC, I think 3 times already. So there are so many titles, with Team Japan. I talked to one of my close friends in the Japanese baseball industry who wants to remain anonymous, saying that it's good that for Japan to lose once because there have been too many titles, and one more title would not be as meaningful as a title to Taiwan or even for Korea or other countries. It brings some opportunities for Japan to think about like how they lose, and then next time they will come back. And of course, for Taiwan, I mean, it's a historical first ever. No matter how you put it, it's a huge win. It's more than a U23 win. It's more than the U18, U15, and also we win on U12 all the times. So it's a big win on the professional level, baseball, when you bring all the countries together, and that's one. And especially defeating Japan, that's something that the Taiwanese people or the Taiwanese baseball players would never dreamed of. Yeah, in the lower level, yes, maybe U23 or even in the Asian Games, those kind of things. But in the all-pro team, that's something that nobody, even in the industry, would ever imagine about it. And especially this time, we did it in a dominating fashion. We shut down Japanese team 4-0.
Yes.
And that was really incredible. Yeah, amazing win and a very solid, convincing win. So just generally feel so good about it. Especially, I think one of the reasons that the game is being held in Tokyo Dome is good is that a lot of fans get to go. Although at the time, as far as I understand, the hotel rate went up 3 times.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
also, so was the flight. The airplane tickets and everything, but still, like at least 6,000 people showed up in the stadium, and they brought the familiar voices. Sometimes I call them the noises to the players, to the Team Taiwan players, and I think that helped them a lot.
Yeah.
Enjoying the cheering and the songs that being sung in unison in an unfamiliar field, but the fans make it like a home field.
So, that's true.
It's really amazing. It's good that sometimes I want to say that by myself is that we watch so many games in Taiwan. In Taiwan, in the stadium, we have those loudspeakers and everything helping the voice to get loud and to travel far. And especially in Taipei Dome, it's really I would call it's really noisy. But in Tokyo Dome, you're not allowed to use those speakers and microphones. But you have 6,000 people singing all together, and the sound is beautiful. It's really beautiful. You don't have the pressure, from the loudspeakers, but you have the pure human sound, vocal sound there, singing all the songs that you're used to listen to. That's really beautiful in Tokyo Dome.
I know that. I remember because I was thinking back to our interview, and because I'm not that familiar with it, you were telling me that in Taiwan they have songs for all the different players and things like that too, right? So they're singing things like that. That's really amazing. And I also read that the Japanese team, they had like something like 27 consecutive wins or something like that.
The big international tournament for 27 straight games, and then they couldn't get the 28th. Yeah, so one of the commentators was saying that, look, 27, that's 27 outs in a game. So he was referring that it's time for Japan's dynasty to stop at this moment after 27 consecutive wins, and then we were able to get that very precious first win from Japan. And overall, it's been an amazing ride for Team Taiwan, or Chinese Taipei, however you want to call it. And it's giving the baseball people in Taiwan a huge lift, really. Yeah.
Can you tell me anything about this particular Taiwanese baseball team? Like, who are some of the top players, or any interesting facts about this particular team, the winning team?
Sure. Well, I mean, on the field wise, really, I think the pitching staff is the key of this team. As that we know that in any kind of baseball game, the pitchings are like 70% or 80% of the team. But this team really is very, very unique as far as the pitching strategy has been used. Well, the manager is saying that he copied a lot of things from the Dodgers manager Dave Roberts during the recent World Series wins. And I think two like key managers, two key persons are the pitching coach and also the bullpen coach. Pitching coach is the Lions manager, Lin Yueping. We call him Daddy Pie, and he lost the Taiwan series. And he was the manager of the last year's WBC Chinese Taipei team. And then I think he took the failure. I mean, last year for the WBC 2023, it wasn't like Chinese Taipei did not play well. They lost the first game to Panama. Out of the well, in a way, I would call it mismanagement, but something about the pitching strategy wasn't that good there. So he was telling the manager and also the press saying that he knew where he screwed up during the WBC. So he took that experience from the failure in WBC and then turned into a very successful outing for the Premier 12 this year. So Lin Yueping, Daddy Pie, the pitching coach, is really, he's deserving a huge credit from the win. And also the bullpen coach, Chen Wang. I mean, we all know how famous he is. And he being he likes to be quiet. He doesn't like to be in front of the camera. He doesn't like to really talk to the press, but he was there in the bullpen making sure that every pitcher is ready when Daddy Pie's phone call reaches to the bullpen. So these two, we're saying that Chen Wang was preparing the ingredient back in the kitchen, and Daddy Pie was making sure that he was able to bring all the right ingredients for the manager to be a chef and to deliver the dishes. So these two, I think the pitching coach and also the bullpen coach are the really key coaches in the mix. And also, I think especially when this time we did not see any pitching change was made in a hurry. I do remember that when I was with the other national teams during the WBC, well, we did have a few occasions where we really need to get a new pitcher on, and well, he wasn't that really ready yet because things just happened too quickly, and then we weren't able to respond it quickly enough, so we lost the game. But this time, we do see that every pitching change was actually ahead of what if something was wrong. So the pitching coach and also the manager, they were able to make sure that they don't overuse the pitchers and they get a new pitcher in before we really need it or need him to get in. So I think pitching is really something. I do believe that we have the lowest ERA among all the teams. So that's really something incredible. Yeah. So that's part of it.
I looked it up. The ERA that Richard referred to stands for Earned Run Average, which is the number of earned runs that a pitcher allows per 9 innings.
And also, speaking of pitching, all the pitchers were doing pretty well, but Felicia Lin, the catcher behind the plate, he deserves a lot of credit as well because he was with the Arizona Diamondback system before he came back to Taiwan. He also had a surgery, like maybe in the earlier part of this season. So it was amazing for him to be able to come back. And then, he caught so many games behind the plate that he was able to calm down all the pitchers because especially those are the pitchers that he was not familiar with. So actually, I'm scheduling an interview with him tomorrow to write more stories about him. So he being able to guide the pitchers through all the different scenarios, I think Lyle does, deserve a lot of credit as well. So I have a talk with him tomorrow, and I'll see what he has to say.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I also read that Team Taiwan's victory was in part related to the decision that the team's manager made on the Friday, and that there was a $2,000 fine involved. Can you talk about that?
Oh, sure. Well, usually, look, as a hosting organization, we require the team to announce the starting pitcher the night before. And I believe the deadline was 10 o'clock in the evening. The reason we want them to do so is to give another team an idea of what kind of a pitcher they'll be facing. And it's been like this. It's been a practice in the industry for, well, I don't know, like so many decades, especially in Major League Baseball. Yeah. You always announce the pitcher. Sometimes in Major League Baseball, you can announce the entire 3 pitchers for the series. So, of course, you can change the player. For example, he's got some medical conditions. He, fell down like in the middle of the night when going to the bathroom and blah, blah, blah. And those are the reasons or the excuses that you have to bring up in front of the WBSC for us to evaluate, to see whether this is a legit or not so legit thing. But for Chinese Taipei to bring up that, and then the reason for them is saying that I want to save my best pitcher for the final day because this game is not that important to us anymore. I mean, that doesn't, from my personal point of view, it doesn't sound that legit because it's not like something happened to your originally scheduled pitcher. Of course, right now we all know that the pitcher Liu had a very strict pitching restrictions from his parent club. Like in terms of games appeared and also pitches thrown. So for Chinese Taipei, they do need to, seize the best opportunity for them to win. And the best opportunity lies on this pitcher. So they really cannot afford him to go pitching another, or in a way, meaningless game in that situation. But by announcing him the day before, I do believe that you have other options to go. You can announce an opener. Any other pitcher for him to go like an inning or so, then you can insert whoever he wants, but not to announce this one and then telling the hosting organization that we've decided now this game is no longer important because in our point of view that there's no game which is not important. And also we give them a 1,999 fine. It's in the regulations. So for any kind of violations on that, we do have a violation and the penalty to go along with. So you decided to violate the rules, then there's a price to pay. But at the end of the day, the $2,000 fine, and then to be able to save the best pitcher for the most important games and winning 1.5 million award, I think it's a good deal for Chinese Taipei. Anyway, but it does steer some conversation and discussion regarding sportsmanship, those kind of things. And I do believe there should be a better way to deal with it, but it has been happening. So we'll just pay the fine, we'll let it go, and then just that's it.
I was just curious. So you think this is unsportsmanlike to make changes like this?
Yeah, in a way, because whenever you announce your pitcher, it's not just announcing the pitcher to the organization, the hosting organization. You're announcing the pitcher to your opposing team. So your opposing team may be able to, come up with their game plan or their lineup according to, who the opposing pitcher is. And that's what we've been saying for decades for the Major League Baseball. They announce the team, then they announce a lefty, and then we will be submitting lineup according to it. And they announce a righty, we will do so according to the starting pitcher of the other team. So I think the good thing is about that people talk about it, so people do care about it. So whether it's unsportsmanship or there are a lot of arguments and even the fightings between the commentators and here and there, but I think it's good that people discuss about it. And well, from what I learned, that the Japanese manager wasn't really happy in the very beginning because from their position now, whoever they announce, they'll stick to it unless he's sick or he's hurt. And for Chinese Taipei to give a reason of changing a starting pitcher is that I want to save the best for the last. Yeah, it is a reason. It's somewhat acceptable, but it's just like in the very beginning when we just hear it, Chinese manager didn't really take it that well. But later she was telling the press that it's okay with that, because I do remember after that game, in both Chinese Taipei's press conference and also the Japanese manager's press conference, the same question has been raised as many as 6 times by the press. So the press are really into it, and they really want to squeeze something out of manager's mouth. Even the Japanese manager mentioned about that. It's okay, like I don't really mind. But the Japanese press kept asking as many as 6 times in that night. So yeah. The other thing I want to point out is that the scouting team. This is the biggest scouting team that I ever seen, because I was with the team before and we never had resources to assemble such a huge scouting team. I do remember, I think as many as 22 or 28 people were in the scouting team, and they started the scouting work since April this year. So they went to Mexico, they went to Miami because there were tournaments there. They want to see the players, potential opponents. So they went to Mexico, they went to Miami, and they went to Japan twice with 2 groups, and they went to Korea also with 2 groups. So this is really the largest ever scouting efforts put up by the team. And I think one good thing about it is that in the international tournament like this, when you do need the resources, our government is there to help, because according to the news, the government has supported so much fundings into the scouting and also the training and everything. So I think it's good that we do have a sports administration, and there's going to be a new cabinet member as a sports minister in the future. The president is pushing it quickly right now. So we'll see this sporting administration to be, how do you call it, leveled up, and then to become a stronger and more powerful with more resources to help the development of sports in Taiwan.
I'm not actually that versed in this, so I just wanted to clarify, when you say scouting, is that scouting to see how the other teams play so that you can be strategic, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because all the players are from different countries. We have in Premier 12, we have 11 other countries to face to. So they really need to see how these players are doing during some key games, and then because there are so many tournaments being held in Latin Americans and also in the U.S., so they were able to send people to Mexico and to Miami. I mean, it's easier to go to Miami, but I do remember that talking to my friends in the scouting team that they went through a lot to go to Mexico to try to do the scouting work. So there's a lot of effort, a lot of time and effort devoted into the scouting, and they were able to bring the information back. And after the raw information was brought back, it was very important for them to organize it, to make it, to be able to present to the players and the coaches, for them to digest that quickly. So, I think the scouting team is one of the very key success of this tournament.
Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that insight. I have to ask you about this one thing that happened during the win, so I'll just share this image here. So of course we know this image, right? It's become so iconic. And the photo I asked Richard to comment on is of Team Taiwan's captain, Chen that has gone viral in Taiwan. And so did you see this happening during the game? And did you pick up on what was going on, and what are your thoughts on this?
Well, basically, that's a situation that's not going to be changed for at least a while, because most of the teams have their names, on their chest, whether it's USA or Venezuela, Japan, whatever, and the players are really used to, it's like a quote unquote things, to do it in front of your chest. Even in the professional baseball, it's the same thing that they do in the Dodgers, Padres, or whatever. So yes, we don't have that on the design of the jersey. We have a logo, which is, you can see from this picture. It's right underneath his left hand. It's a red C and a blue T. It's Chinese Taipei, definitely. Yeah. For this edition, we don't have a Chinese Taipei written in front of the chest. In the past, yes, we do. But it was I think maybe for 32 years ago when we won the silver medal in the Barcelona Olympics, or maybe a few years later as well. There are some uniforms that we do have the Chinese Taipei right in front of our chest. I know that's not the name they were seeking for, but at this moment, in all the IOC related games, we can only use Chinese Taipei. But I think this uniform in this picture comes in really handy and also meaningful, is that we don't have the Chinese Taipei in front of us, and we want Taiwan to be on the jersey. Well, we can't do that. We left it empty there. Although the CT logo
Yeah.
over there on the left side does resemble the name Chinese Taipei, but there's no wordings of Chinese Taipei.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a very good design that where the players can when they are doing well, they can do the quote unquote gesture to symbolize that here is something missing, and
Yeah, I thought that was really ingenious. I mean, how long has the jersey been
it's
like
been
that?
like
Like
that
with
for a
the
very
chest
long
caps and
time. It's just that
yeah,
the
yeah.
younger kids may not be that into doing this gesture that much. Yeah, but these professional players, they've seen other people doing it. They've seen so many professional players doing that. And I think that they know what they represent and they really want Taiwan to stand out. And I think it's a very coincident that we left it open there. We left it blank. So the players get to do something like that to find the world that what we really are.
Do you think that a lot of people in Taiwan are like kind of talking
Oh
about
yeah.
this or like is this
People,
create some awareness about
yeah,
this?
I
Yeah.
mean people are talking about
Yeah.
all the time because when a famous player like Chen is doing that,
Yeah.
people will be talking about what he's doing. And then this
Yeah.
one will definitely, I mean, the topic definitely get picked up by all different kind of platforms, whether it's sports or unsports related. They will be all talking about that and raising the awareness of Taiwan, and then people just know that what's missing there is Taiwan.
Yeah. And have you met Chen? Can you tell me anything about him?
Well, a very upbeat guy. Yeah, he's always smiling. And he's a big media favorite in Japan as well because he came to Japan to study baseball when he was in high school. So he speaks Japanese very well. So even during the opening round in Taipei, there were a lot of Japanese media go to Taipei to do the coverage. He was able to communicate with Japanese media strictly in Japanese. So after that, he came to Japan, to Tokyo Dome. He's becoming the favorite of Japanese media as well because they can go to him without any translator's help. So he's been getting a lot of exposure as well. But he's a very down to earth guy, very hardworking. Yeah. And well, I think he's a number one guy right now in town because he's on all the TV programs and everything. So he's the number one hot guy right now. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have anything else you'd like to share about Team Taiwan's win and what you witnessed when you're in Tokyo?
Well, I think that the special thing about this team is that, well, I mentioned in the very beginning that we don't have that ace pitcher, we don't have the number one hitter. But I went down to the other program and saying that when there was no ace, then everybody's ace. So everybody was able to contribute whatever they are supposed to do. And I think and they don't fear anything because I think one of the advantage of being an underdog is that we are already underdog. So whatever we can achieve, we do the best we can. And if we can't do, or we can't win it, then so be it. If we do, then they show the world what we really are made of. So I think the team doesn't really, especially when I was watching them doing the opening round in Taipei, and I think one of the reasons is that we are all surrounded by the fans because you got like 40,000 fans in Taipei Dome day in and day out cheering for you. So the players feel really good and confident about that. Even they are still viewed as underdog from the very beginning of the tournament, but they feel good about themselves. They come to the stadium without much of the pressure, and the only pressure that I was able to read from them was actually right before the championship game because the game they lost to Venezuela, it doesn't really come as a surprise at all. And also, they did not lose that much. And then they defeated the USA. That was a great thing because it's been like so long that we ever defeated USA. And so the third game, the game with Japan, they become like not a meaningful game. So they played with ease, and they were able to score something. Wow, they gave up some runs, but they were also able to score. So even they lost the game, they still feel good about themselves. The only time I saw like they're a little bit nervous is that right before the final game, I did feel like there was a little bit tense among the team members. But I think one of the things is that because it's the last game, so that nervousness did not last too long because that was the last game. So we play well, we win the game. If we don't play that well, we're still the silver medalists. So that nervousness probably did not last too long, but I did sense a little bit about that right before the game started. So, well, I'm going to write another story about the team is that from one of the players, Chen, he's the only players who ever played in 3 editions of the Premier 12. He was
Oh.
telling me that, yeah, among the 3 teams that he has been involved with in 15, 19, and also this year, 24, he recognized the team as like fearless. And nobody is scared of anything. So if you're not scared of anything, you just go out and do whatever you're supposed to do. And the coaching staff really helped a lot because all these coaches, I mean, when these coaches are in their prime, they are the number 1 stars in Taiwan baseball, like huge stars, even the Major League Baseball stars. So these young players really believed in their coaches, and with that, confidence being built through the coaches, among the teams, and among the players, I think they just didn't afraid of anything. So they just go out and then play the best they could.
Yeah, I think I read that Team Taiwan age-wise was the youngest team of all the 12 teams, right? At the average age. Yeah, and I think it was also really special because baseball wasn't in the Summer Olympics in Paris this year either, right?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to do some research on this. I'm wondering, like, do you know why baseball isn't always a part of the Summer Olympics? I think it's going to be part of 2028, but it wasn't this year.
Yeah, it's going to be part of 28th. And the baseball we play in Angel Stadium in Los Angeles, and but softball we play in Oklahoma, I think. Well, the reason is that I think baseball is number 1. It couldn't share any field with other sports. That's one of the things. And nowadays, I don't believe from which Olympics, but nowadays the Olympics are emphasizing on not to build that many new venues. And then if you
for
do build it, you
environmental
need to be
reasons.
you need to be able to share with others. Like you can do taekwondo. For the
Okay.
indoor venues, you can do a lot of things, but baseball is only for baseball. You can't even do it for the softball. So that that's a lot of cost, to build a stadium, to maintain it afterwards. And for the baseball games, you have like 28 players, 6 coaches, that so many people will be using the athlete. And then look, each team will come with like maybe 40 people. And then you have 6 teams, there's 240, and then you have 18, there's 300 people more. So maybe it's not that economic sound, financially sound sport for the Olympic. But nowadays we do have an option, like we have 5 sports that we can choose from. So from the WBSC point of view, that we're trying to make baseball permanent sport, baseball and softball in the Olympics. It's going to be a tough road, but that's our goal. We want to make it stay in the Olympics forever. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. What's next for Team Taiwan?
Well, come next February, there will be WBC qualifying. And the teams that participating will be Taiwan, Nicaragua, Spain, and South Africa. Out of 4 teams, we need to pick 2 teams to qualify for the next for the 2026 WBC. The first round will be in Japan, and so most likely, I would say Taiwan and Nicaragua may advance, but because of the player eligibility of the WBC is not as strict, so we may see a lot of minor league baseball players for the Spain team and also Nicaragua team as well. So it should be an easier tournament for Chinese Taipei to qualify, but I think we can't be too relaxed on that either. For the qualifier, most of the players playing on the Premier 12 will not be playing on the qualifier because they just finished the season really late this year. They play until the end of November. So next year for the qualifier, it's going to be held in February. So the team needs to get together and get the camp in January. So most likely we'll see a brand new team as far as the players concerned. But I think the coaching staff probably will stay the same. Yeah, so we're just going to see a new Chinese Taipei team, a new Team Taiwan preparing for the WBC qualifier. I really like to to be invited to this show to talk to people who are concerned about the Taiwanese. I myself is focusing on the sports part, so I like to share all the information that we do here in Taiwan to tell the world what we are. And a lot of Taiwanese players actually they're playing in the States. Most of them, or right now, everybody of them is in the minor league baseball. So I like to request to our viewers, if you know that the minor league baseball Taiwanese player is close to where you are, welcome to go to the stadium to see them play, to give them some cheers. Because, well, I myself spent like 9-10 years in Boston before. I do understand that how meaningful it is if we see somebody from Taiwan to give them a little bit lift, a little bit cheer, and also I like to say that we can we can use this platform to share more information about things happening in Taiwan, and then for everybody who pay attention to this program to know more things about what's happening in Taiwan, to give us more cheer and more support. Thank you.
We do have a question from someone
Yeah.
in the audience that was asking if you could talk about when you think back to that day when they had the win. Is there something that really stands out in your mind, like any memory?
Well, I think that the day that we won the gold, basically everybody is in the mood of celebrating. But I do remember one thing is that Lin, because he injured himself in that game, and I think he's going through the treatment right now. And after all the celebration is over, he came out to the dugout, and then we sat down. So I went to ask him like how's his injury is. He's like maybe he broke his bone.
Oh dear.
And I was like, oh my God, that's bad. And he's like, wow, that's a life of a baseball player. But then he said that, well, I won the gold for my country. So that's really something stand out.
Very touching.
That's the thing that I remember the most that day. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Richard. I know that you're in Taipei over there, and we look forward to seeing you again when we make it back to Taiwan.
Great.
Okay, great.
And thank you everybody
very much.
for listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Special thanks to all those who attended this special online event with Richard Wang about Team Taiwan's historical gold medal baseball win at the 2024 Premier 12.